We review A Quiet Place Part 2 on Film Threat Reviews. I'm Alan Ng. I'm with activity writer Rob Rector, and I'm also with the founder of HorrorBuzz.com, Norman Gidney. Hey, how you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Super.
How are you?
Oh,
Happy
good.
to be here.
Yes. Okay. We are reviewing A Quiet Place Part 2. Just letting you know that the first half will be a general review, and then we'll let you know. But we are going to get into spoiler territory in the second half. So if you've not seen the movie or don't want spoilers, we'll let you know when you can shut things down. Following the events at home, the Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking beyond the sand path. It's written and directed by John Krasinski, stars Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmonds, and Cillian Murphy. All right, so full disclosure, I have not seen the first movie. I did see this one though. Just real briefly, Rob, you reviewed it for us. So give me just general impressions of the movie.
I couldn't think of a better note to start heading back into theaters on. It was thrilling. It lived up to I didn't have expectations, but it lived up to any expectation I could have had for a sequel. There were some superbly crafted scenes and scares throughout. And it was that made me miss going to the theater all the more.
All right. How about you, Norm? What did you think?
Well, I agree with Rob. It's the perfect way to re-enter cinemas. That's for sure. But I have the same problems with this movie that I had with the original, and the gaping plot holes, and but if you just stick to the actual story and what's on screen, it's a hell of a ride.
Yeah. I mean, I do have some questions about it, which we'll probably get into later. But I think I want to address first the fact that this is a sequel. It's part 2. So you two saw the original. How does it do as a sequel? And generally, I qualify it 2 ways. One is, did the movie bring back what was fun and great about the first movie? And 2, did it effectively open the world or open the story more? So how does it do as a sequel?
Norm, you want to take this?
Oh, I think it does a wonderful job carrying over from the first film and delivering what the first film offered. It doesn't reach the just the white knuckle craziness of a birth in a bathtub, but which was like insane in the first film. But it definitely delivers. Absolutely.
So what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the world opens up just a little bit more, and I think that's what I liked about it too. Instead of going to where we get to see the origin stories of these creatures, and we get to find out their purpose and everything, the lens doesn't open up that wide. It opens up just enough to kind of fill in some of the gaps, and then offer some new potential for fewer or for the subsequent films. I think there's one more.
The franchise to continue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how I felt. I liked that it opened it up a little bit. It goes from the house to the town, and then just a little bit beyond that. So what was it about that first movie that you thought it brought back so effectively?
You know what I really liked, and typically the prologue to it starts off with day one, so it flashes back to when the family was just before the alien invasion. And what I really liked about it is it felt purposeful to show that it wasn't just so they could bring back Krasinski's character, and it was to show how this family communicated with each other using ASL, using sign language, and how that helped their adaptability when these creatures actually did arrive, because they were so used to communicating in silence that it was actually to their benefit.
Rob, you gave it a 7.5, I believe.
Yeah.
And Norm, I think you were kind of in that range as well.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.
So what kept it from jumping to an 8 or a 9?
we'll get into spoiler territory, but I just, we'll get that later
Right.
into the minutia. But again, like I said, it's a fun ride, but there are, abrupt ending. I hate it. The same thing happens in the first film where, it's something's going on and then cut to black, directed by, Krasinski.
John Krikas.
Yeah.
Him from The Office.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
How about you, Rob?
It was, the performances were outstanding. The same limitations that Norm said, I'll echo. I feel, if I had to find fault in it, there were some plot devices that I felt they were very, very similar to the original. So, we came in with expectations already. And they kind of, they recycled a little bit of it, but that said, they did it effectively. So I can't really criticize it all that much, but.
Yeah. And the one thing that I love about both of these movies is Krasinski and his writing team really know how to build tandem plots to ratchet up the tension.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, be intercutting with 3 separate things going on. And it's almost
editing.
unbearable.
Yes.
Yeah.
The parallel
It's
editing
really
during
good.
that was amazing, to take 3 separate plots that are, 3 separate storylines, and to actually have them do the rise and fall action simultaneously, because sometimes it can take you out when you leave from one to the other, but you're left in just the same place of tension in that last scene. And then boom, it mounts it again and again. And it was so effective. I thought that was really well done.
Well, it was similar tension. The tension that occurred to all the characters and all the plot lines just matched, and I thought that was brilliant. So not having seen the first one, if you're curious, if you have a passing knowledge of what the first movie is about, you're going to do okay in this one.
You can walk into this one cold and enjoy it.
Yeah, clearly, one of the kids dies in the first one. I got kind of confused as to which kid died, but but I figured it out.
That's what made me fall in love with the first one. When they opened with killing a kid, I was like, "Oh, all bets are off." All right,
agreed.
Yeah, and then and then my wife had to tell me what happened to the John Krasinski character afterwards. But I kind of get it. He had to kill one of the parents in that first movie.
Oh man, we should have given a spoiler alert for people who have not seen part 1.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. You know what I'm talking about. You have to know this stuff if we're going in too.
Right.
They are keeping it within, I think it's a 2-hour movie. I feel like if you really get in deep and it becomes like Walking Dead territory, it's just going to expand the movie, drag it out much longer than I really wanted it to. And
unnecessarily, because some of it you don't need to know.
Nope. And that's what I loved about the efficiency of the first one. We didn't get any clue, and it was just so cut down to the bone. Like, it was just, we didn't have to have backstories. We didn't have to have family gatherings prior to, and these, halcyon days where they were having fun. No, it was, they're in peril. They're in jeopardy. There's some ugly ass flower-headed lizards that are out to kill them.
There you go. All right, so I think we're all pretty much in agreement across the board. Rob, you gave us 7.5. Norm, you said 7. I would give it a 7.5 as well. If you don't want spoilers, this is a great place to bail out. We may even run up an ad here. Who knows? Now we're entering into spoiler territory. Here's the first thing that got me, or that really stuck out to me, and it happened right at the beginning. But you have this monster that I guess is attracted to sound, and it comes in, attacks the entire town. But what got me, it was one monster, and why was it solely going after the Abbott family? And it kind of killed people along the way, but all it did was chase this one specific family, as opposed to a horde coming in and killing an entire town.
I didn't see it that way. I can be honest. I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as, the camera following the Abbott family, as opposed to the monster chasing them.
Yeah.
So that's just my take.
Yeah, but it goes into the bar and it kills a few people, but that it felt more like collateral damage than it was. It's like they're going after these people specifically for some reason.
It was collateral damage, but it wouldn't have gone in there if that dumb lady's phone wouldn't have gone off. So and then of course Krasinski and his kid were running, so it heard that. But I mean, I will stand up for it when I can, but boy, do I have issues.
Yeah. Well, and then at the end, I think it did the same thing. It was like laser focused on our protagonists as opposed to everyone else. But especially, if it is it just a hunter or is it feasting on people? Because it felt more like the hunter.
That's what I think. That's what I liked about it. Actually, is that we still don't know. Like we still have no idea the purpose, because it didn't seem like they were feasting on any of them. It was just random noise that bothered them because they were hypersensitive. So they were just randomly, slashing them left and right. And I don't know if I want to go. I'm afraid that would drag it out to a 2-hour movie. This is an hour and 37 minutes, and it felt right just in that amount of time for me.
It could have been an hour and 39. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to you mentioned you wanted a little bit more. I mean, what is it that you wanted? Did you want a more grittier Outland or
No, here's okay. If I may. Here start the rant music. So again, the same problems I had with part 1, I have with part 2. I know that part of the reason the monsters succeeded in devastating so much it was because they are so fast, and because it was just such a random situation. And I even liked how they showed that at the beginning of the second one. They just opened the scope just a little, showed you how it all went down, which was super cool. But here's the thing. With all of the brilliant minds and technology on the planet Earth, are you telling me that the only person that figured out these things don't like high-pitched noises is a girl with a hearing aid? I mean, yes, that gave her an advantage. But I was like, okay, wait, there had to be somebody in a bunker somewhere that realized these things are bothered by sound. And are you telling me it took like 1.5 years for her just to get to a tower, or that they couldn't figure out these things were sensitive to sound and could be, basically incapacitated by a frequency?
Yeah, because you would think that the hearing aid industry is a big industry, and there are a lot of people who need hearing aids, and there are a lot out there. You would have thought, that maybe a dozen, 100 other people, 1,000 other people might have figured it out as well. I think that's
I give it to them that they were stealthy and quick and fast and abrupt and brutal, and nobody knew what was going on. But we're 1.5 years in, and I'm like, huh?
Someone's got to figure it out. Yeah.
Isn't the military gonna something? I mean, come on. Anyway.
There were two things that if I had to find quibbles with them, I think in the beginning, the prologue, like I said, I felt like that was essential to set up, because it helped widen the lens of the family. That said, it did feel really escalated really quickly, in so much that Krasinski knew all the right moves. He was juking out there and dodging, and he was able to elude these things with the minute he's talking to a cop, and then all of a sudden, boom, cop gets wiped off. He turns right around and bolts. And I don't know if a normal person would have a chance to even register the enormity of all that, much less be able to grab your daughter, go under a table. I mean, it just seemed like he had a very quick survival instinct that didn't feel appropriate to me. Again, small one. But the second one, kind of going off what Norm was saying, when they found out that this device, when amplified, will somehow, not bother, if not explode or what have you,
Yeah.
incapacitate these beasts.
Yeah.
Right. Incapacitate these beasts. Then they chose to do it. We'll get to it tomorrow. Like there was this delay so that there could be more action on the island versus you have a radio station on the island. You've got this device that will incapacitate.
We're gonna have some hot cocoa around the campfire, and tomorrow
finish your drink.
Get the hell on there and start broadcasting. Yeah. So I felt like that. I mean, there was some good subsequent tension, that was drawn after that, but I just didn't feel like that was authentic.
Yeah, and then
given the urgency.
And for poor Jaimin Hensu, who it's like the moment you go, hey, maybe we outran him, and
note to self, don't.
He's gone. Yeah.
Note to self.
Okay, so
in the heart of the apocalypse, do not think about your kids. That's what I learned from that.
Just don't.
The second you think about your kids, you're dead man.
Yeah. Well, Walking Dead taught us that as well. Yeah. In fact, you may have to shoot your kids in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So let me. Okay. So one of the things that I think would have attracted me to the first one that I appreciated in the second one is this idea of survival. It's about what this family had to do to stay quiet. And then now we expand it out into the town, and they do the same thing. What are your kind of thoughts about, do you think they did a good job in the sense of now that they run into Cillian Murphy's character and how they have to survive in this warehouse? Did you like how they played that out?
I'm so glad we brought up Cillian Murphy because I think that was such a great addition. I love him, and I love him in horror too. In 28 Days Later, in Red Eye, not necessarily horror but thriller. He is just such an expressive actor. And what I really liked what they did with him in this was it was a third into the movie, and we still didn't know if his intentions were good or not. We were still guessing as to whether or not he was going to screw the whole family over. And they danced that line. And it led to a lot of additional tension on top of what we already had.
Yeah, I agree with you. He was great. He was a lovely surrogate to the character element of Krasinski. Yeah. It needed something. It needed another person, obviously, and he was awesome. And what I really loved is how natural his addition felt.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like we have to. But no, it was
it's another checkbox that we gotta
exactly.
Yeah, it was a very natural element to be added.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love the performances all around in this movie.
Everyone's great. Everyone's
great. That's what years of acting will do. Yeah. Rob, you're gonna say
and not in the case of the kids. I was just gonna say, not in the case of the kids. I mean, they rose to the challenge. We talked about the bear trap. I can't remember when I've heard a more authentic scream than when that young boy got chomped in the bear trap. I mean, and it was just such a range of emotions because at first it was so sudden. You're like, oh my God, he got a monster attacked him because they killed the kid in the first one. Then you were relieved for a second because it was just a bear trap. And then he lets out this heartfelt wail and you were like, shut up. Don't, you're endangering everyone. But man, it was so authentic. It was really, really good.
So the question I have is, why were they there? Why was it necessary for him to have set up these booby traps?
Well, I mean, obviously they were headed there to that refinery because that's where the other beacon was. Mm-hmm. So they were going there. And he obviously had those set up because he was trying to keep away the monsters and also
the people,
any other dangers. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you have, that's what you would do.
Okay.
I'd put it out, but I mean, everything really makes pretty much some sense. So,
okay. So I'm thinking I mean, it's a weird lens. That's why I described it as kind of an because in its smallness, it doesn't fly into the tropes that I kind of expect for a movie like this. And so there were like a lot of differences. It's like, okay, why aren't these monsters eating everything and everyone. Why do we need these booby traps? Okay, it starts to make sense.
They only suggested, I mean, and that was the good thing too. They didn't elaborate, but he said, look, have you run into people? I have. They are not human. They are not,
everybody's changed.
They're not the same. Yeah. They're very bad. So again, that suggestion was like, okay, he set it out for humans just as well as the beasts that are out there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then we get into the third act where, we have this contrast of people who aren't safe and people who are safe, a community of people who, I just watched this pirate movie with Michael Caine recently. You have these kind of people who are, living in this dangerous world, doing dangerous things and acting more or less like pirates. And then you have this group of people on an island who are safe and
Jaws the Revenge.
Trying to live in normal. Which one?
Jaws the Revenge.
Yeah. I was going to say Michael Caine was a pirate. Could he be in the
it's a movie where he runs into pirates. It's on Peacock right now. I'll let you know that.
All right.
But it's it's like a group of people who have shut themselves off from the world and they go around living off of the booty they get off of luxury yacht that they have to take down, and a lot of inbreeding. I should mention that. Okay, so so that first group of people, that to me was Walking Dead. The second group, maybe we talked about it, they're a little too relaxed, a little too casual. What was your general impressions of these two worlds?
Of the contrast between the Marauders and the safe people on the island?
Yeah, and I think I'm broadening that to, because that story's been told a lot. Do you think it was effective? Do you think,
And why did it take, 474 days or whatever the hell it was for a boat to drift onto the...
That was, I didn't even mention that one.
Well, that was the boat. That was one of the boats during the skirmish.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
And oh god.
And to drift, it wouldn't take that amount of time to drift. I mean, it would be a while before that boat got there. But again,
I'll give it that it could have drifted that fast. I mean, like whatever. But okay. For as many, terrible plot holes and odd coincidences this movie has, it has just as many ingenious things going for it. And I think that because it's just a fun ride, you either have to just suspend your disbelief and go with it, or just don't watch it. But
watch it in a theater.
Theater.
The sound design.
You can only watch it in the theater right now.
The sound design is just impeccable. I mean, they did such a great job, and I mean, even touch upon that, but they did some great choices sonically by cutting to POVs, like a point of view from the daughter who is deaf to Krasinski's character, and all of a sudden there's no sound, or this inaudible like mumble, and that was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was really well done.
What I also found interesting was at the opening of the movie, John Krasinski's character buys some fruit from a general store and walks to a baseball field. And what I noticed was, what the sounds that the sound designer chose to use along the way, eating the apple, throwing the apple away. I mean, it was just sort of this weird symphony that I'm wondering if I'm the only one who caught it.
Ironically, A Quiet Place is definitely a sound designer's dream. It's like that is what they have to work with. That is the main feature.
Yeah. I mean, this is the essential using sound design to tell a story.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It all felt purposeful. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the absence of sound.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about the ending. Okay, so maybe you guys, I don't know if you saw it like the way I saw it, but the ending, the very ending, like the ending, reminded me of a horror movie from the early 80s. Can you think of what that was?
No.
It was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, jeez. You said horror movie, so I was...
Look.
No, when the kid was holding the radio out in front of the monster, I'm like, This is Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I mean,
Yeah,
I was going to say
Fireplace
anything.
2 did not end with carrots coming to life and thinking
Right.
it was time to attack. So, I mean, I don't see a similarity.
What's
I was picturing Lloyd.
It's the broadcasting of the song "Puberty Love" all over every radio,
I
then
thought
having
it'd be
the
Lloyd
monsters
Dobler. Lloyd
Yeah.
Dobler holding up his boombox.
Yeah.
Sound
If you
of
remember
puberty
that
love.
last moment of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes with the tomato with the earmuffs on.
Yeah.
The hero holds out the sheet music to the song, and then
Right.
But that was the thing. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, this is Attack of the Killer Tomatoes right now.
No, my problem with this ending is the same that I had with the first film, is that it feels so, I don't know another word, but it feels so abrupt. You know, you have them conquer an immediate threat, not kill everything off, but they conquer an immediate threat, close up on a character, and cut to black.
Yeah.
And it was like, I really would have liked, we spent the entire movie waiting for this damn thing to happen. I would have liked to have seen the scope open just a little bit more. We don't have to go,
Right.
Like globally, much less even, for the country. But what I'm saying is, what if they showed them putting the frequency out on the tower and a bunch of other creatures from all around getting affected?
Just like an aerial shot, and then
something,
watching.
and then it cut to black. It could have been just that, and it would have improved it.
Yeah.
My wife hated the ending as well. She felt the same way. Like, she wanted some kind of closure, some kind of resolution. Maybe I should put it that way. Short of an epilogue.
Sure.
I felt the same way at first, and then I kind of let it, bounce around in my little tiny brain for a little bit, and I was like, well, wait a minute. It does kind of go along with the narrative efficiency of this, if you're taking it from a strictly narrative perspective, is that they came to do X, Y, and Z, and as soon as they were done Z, done. Like I would have liked to have seen a reunion of the family or something like that, but as far as being able to complete the tasks that were laid before them, they did that and done. So part of me is like, okay, well, that's it set out to do and concluded, like it should have. But from an emotional standpoint, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more.
Yeah, you know what? I can see that reasoning, absolutely. But as a viewer, I'm just like, like, it was so funny because when I saw it, the movie is not a short film. Okay, it's a hefty hour and 37 minutes. It's a solid feature, and the movie ends, and I heard somebody go, "That movie was so short." Like that, and I'm like, no, that wasn't short. It was just a terrible ending. You didn't get to see what else happened. But
I guess the history of this is there was really no plans for a sequel, and then they came out with a good idea for the sequel.
Well,
the third one,
$300 million came in, and that's when they
and they said that's a great reason.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a franchise, but this is a Universal film, so I think they're into money. So the question I have is, I felt like that if there is a third one, I feel like it's going to head into Peninsula territory. You have this great Train to Busan movie.
Oh no,
Peninsula. And Peninsula basically expands the world of Train to Busan.
Yeah,
and I feel like maybe that's where this is heading in a third one. I can't imagine, because you talked about it. What happens when you start broadcasting this entire signal?
Well, fundamentally, I think that would be a huge mistake, because the as we've discussed, the entire appeal of this is the efficiency of it.
Honestly. Yeah, I would say the same. I would kind of, if anything, I would maybe like to see more of the side characters in there. Like I would like to see Cillian Murphy's, fall as he loses his family members, or poor, Hunsu. I would love to see, him for more than 3 minutes on the screen. So, I would love to see how they all got to that island and they started the community and got power out there and had some awesome bonfires.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. I'd love to know how they got power.
Yeah.
So then we're heading
radio
into Lost or Walking Dead territory, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You know what? just don't look down and you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, just enjoy the movie for what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm with Film Threat contributing writer Rob Rector, also with founder of HorrorBuzz.com, Norm Gidney.
Can I stop holding the sign now?
What?
Can I stop holding the sign now?
Your arm's gonna be tired, Norm.
Oh.
All right, so with
Just
that, let's get out of here.